Governor, as you know, California voters are going to decide this November on a marijuana initiative backed by Sean Parker and Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom. Are you familiar with that? Do you support that initiative?
Well, I do believe that California is going to vote to legalize marijuana recreationally, and I do see this as the absolute tipping point. Half the states now have adopted medical marijuana, 4 states recreational, and the District of Columbia. Virtually every one of those initiatives have happened at the ballot box. I think when California does it in November, I think that you will have 20 state legislatures overnight just legislate it, and governors will sign or veto it. And there'll always be holdouts, but I really do think California holds the key to seeing an end to the prohibition of marijuana.
So do you endorse the initiative then, or have you taken a position?
Well, I'm going to always endorse anything that makes things better, and legalizing marijuana is definitely making it better. In Washington State, whether you recognize this or not, in Washington State, it's about the worst example I can think of legalizing pot. I think that that pot gets taxed at a 28% rate 4 times before it gets sold to you as the end user. And 2 summers ago, right after pot was legalized in Washington State, at one point, pot was selling for $26,000 a pound in Washington State. Now, what does that do for somebody who's been buying it on the black market? What it does is it says, I'm going to continue to buy it on the black market. Well, a legalized environment should provide the lowest costs, the safest way to do this. So what you had in Washington State is you had lines, city blocks long, to buy pot at $65 a gram. Are you doing the math here? That's $26,000 a pound. So it was all these people that had never used marijuana, but now that it was legal, they could do it. And for everybody else who'd been using it, nothing changed.
What's your position on the regulation of edibles?
Well, regulation from a health and safety concern, this is where government does have a role, protect us against harm. So are there regulations that actually would
protect us?
And in the case of edibles, was it Maureen O'Dowd?
Maureen Dowd from the New York Times.
Maureen Dowd?
Yeah.
She goes and does edibles in Colorado. Remember this story? She goes and does edibles, and they're not working, and they're not working, and they're not working. And she ended up, by our figuring, she ended up consuming 400 milligrams of pot. I'm believing that would have been like 3/4 of a bottle of tequila. Would she have been saved by regulation? Well, not really, because she kept on popping them. But I mean, education, and of course, none of us are going to disagree with that. But protecting consumers, if a 25 milligram dose is going to prevent people from having a bad experience, I mean, look, I applaud the states that have legalized pot. I applaud Colorado. I mean, they're taking steps that California may or may not follow, but it's a new frontier, and I think we're going to work our way through the issues regarding regulation and taxation, and when it's all said and done, we'll all be living better lives.